Hey everyone, it has been a while. Kind of been on a bunch of trips here lately. Haven't had a lot of time to record videos, but been trying to do some extra articles here and there, so hopefully, that helps. But now we're back. We're doing some videos. I just got back from the Mox and Grand Prix Charlotte, and basically just been playing in a lot of events, and the last couple had some modern. The Mox also had a little bit of standard where I just played green-white tokens, and that went pretty well. I went 3-1, and then I guess I lost my top 4 match, so 3-2, so I guess maybe not as good as I thought, but the deck felt pretty nice, but I've been paying attention to what's been happening on Magic Online, and these Cryptolith Rite decks are just consistently doing really well, and we continue to see a bunch of innovation coming out of these archetypes, just because a lot of colors just switch around here and there, and there are very few cards that are actually in every version of this deck. So the core is kind of like Lone Dryad, Cryptolith Rite, Elvish Visionary, Eldrazi Displacer, Reflector Mage Collecting Company, Duskwatch Recruiter, and then from there it's just you can kind of do whatever you want. Some of them have Catacomb Sifter and then some Brood Monitors at the top end, and then you have a Zulaport Cutthroat to actually go infinite and drain them out. I haven't been super impressed with that just because Brood Monitor is not that great of a Magic card. So this one is actually pretty similar to the list that Luis Scott Vargas and Josh Utterlayton played at GP New York, where they're splashing Dragonlord Atarka to try and be good in the mirror matches, and I kind of like that, but this list is a little bit more conservative. Instead of Atarka, it basically has Archangel Avacyn and some Sylvan Advocates in the main deck, basically because we don't have another great 2-drop, but very similar list to this 5-0 to League on Magic Online. It had Void Grafter instead of the Advocates, but I wanted an extra 2-drop, and the Advocates were already in the sideboard, so I just swapped those over to the main deck, and then got a couple extra sideboard cards. So I kept their mana base intact, and hopefully it works. I mean, it looks kind of just like a bunch of random numbers of lands. We only have 10 colorless sources for our Eldrazi Displacers, but at the same time, we also have Eldrazi Sky Spawner to maybe make up for that, so hopefully that is not an issue. You could play a Wastes, especially since you have Evolving Wilds, but Wastes it is not good. It is not a great card, so kind of staying away from that one. So yeah, this deck is mostly trying to do the same stuff as the Bant Collecting Company decks from the beginning of the season, where you just put a bunch of efficient creatures in play, and they all have ETB effects, or in the case of Duskwatch Recruiter, you can just use it to find more action. Cryptolith Rite kind of turbocharges your deck because it makes it super easy to use your activated abilities on Duskwatch Recruiter and Eldrazi Displacer. And then, you have things like Displacer Reflector Mage to just lock your opponent out of the game, basically, which is not super fun, but is a little too good not to play. So also have Archangel Avacyn on the top end, which is obviously great with Displacer, and there are some combos with Eldrazi Sky Spawner and Avacyn where you can either play Avacyn on turn 4, or you can use the Scion token to actually transform the Avacyn. So other than that, deck is pretty normal. Sideboard, really like these Reality Smashers. This is the best card pretty much by far against the Languish decks, because they have Grasp of Darkness, Ultimate Price, and Languish as their primary removal spells, and Reality Smasher cares not about any of that stuff. Reality Smasher just kills you. So I do think this is the best card. Generally, you're making a clean swap with Cryptolith Rite and the Smashers. We have another 2 Advocates, which I think are pretty good. Again, against the Languish decks, the games are probably going to go pretty long unless you just kill them with Smashers, so Advocate is likely going to be a 4/5. There are a couple Lumbering Falls in the mana base, which Advocate helps with, and just another thing that is going to live through Languish and just generally be a very powerful threat. Against those decks, you're mostly trying to just stick powerful threat after powerful threat, run them out of removal, and you reload with Collecting Company and stuff, and Duskwatch Recruiter. And they don't have great card advantage. They have some Read the Bones or whatever. They basically have to get you with Kalitas or a backbreaking Languish. So having things that are kind of Languish proof is pretty nice. Also have some negates to fight against those cards. We have an Enlightened Ascetic and some Dromoka's commands. These are mostly consistently in people's sideboards for decks like this, at least the Bant versions, and I feel like these are just like your mirror match type cards where if one person has Cryptolith Rite and the other person does not, you kind of just go off because you have so much more mana than them. Like your Displacers and your Duskwatch Recruiters are much, much better, and your deck overall is just way more powerful. So I like having some answers to those things. Also, like, you just need to kill Eldrazi Displacer in the mirror. Like, this is the most powerful card by far. Duskwatch Recruiter is kind of annoying, but Displacer is really the card that's going to beat you, so having some spot removal to do that is very nice. And then the last sideboard cards are some Declaration in Stones, and these are the cards that got added with the Sylvan Advocates that got moved to the main deck. So I wanted a clean answer to Kalitas, just because it seemed like you could Reflector Mage it a decent amount of the time, and maybe you set up like Displacer Reflector Mage, but yeah, I want a hard answer. So Stone is pretty nice there, and this might be a thing that I try and bring it in the mirror match too, but we'll see. We'll see how we feel, because we need to keep a certain amount of creatures in our deck for Collected Company, which can be tough. Like right now we have 26, which is... It's not high. It's like high by 1, but realistically it's kind of lower than that because you have things like Lone Dryad, which you don't even really want to hit necessarily. So gotta work on keeping my creature count high. So yeah, that's about it. A little Bant, colorless, Cryptolith Rite, Collected Company deck. Just a bunch of powerful cards that all sort of kind of work well together. So let's see how it goes.